The IOC, of course, covers a lot of areas. There's two main areas, of course, is the two games, the winter and the summer games. It meets as the General Assembly. We call it a session once a year. This year, the session was held at the end of July, early August in KL, where the whole of the IOC were here. And at the games, at the summer games and the winter games, we also have sessions. And it is at that session annually that the decisions are made. They have an executive board made up of a few of the members, that they are elected by the members, and the board really administers through a huge office located in Lausanne, which in my opinion is too many people, but there is about 400 people, which it administers the IOC and all the other things that it does. The IOC, the members, the members vote new members in when there are vacancies. You're voted in for 8 years, and then if you're lucky, you get renewed. I became a member in 2006. I was renewed last year for another term, but then one has to retire at the age of 70. The early days, you could retire at the age of 80, but now the rule is, you cannot go beyond 70 unless with a special decision by the membership. So that essentially is the Olympic structure, Olympic movement. And what is it? What are some of the Olympic movements? What is the sort of the role and mission of IOC? I'll just read a few. It's got a whole list of missions, but there's some important ones, and the main ones are to encourage and support the promotion of ethics and good governance in sport, as well as education of youth through sport, and to ensure that fair play prevails and violence is banned. And that's the very, very first mission and role of the IOC. The second one is to encourage and support development and coordination of sport and sport competitions, to ensure the regular celebration of the Olympic Games, to cooperate with the competent public or private organizations. So they do encourage national Olympic committees and the members within the Olympic movement to cooperate with government, and rather than be an antithesis of government. I mean, it is really, we're supposed to cooperate, and we in Malaysia, we do that. To take action to strengthen the unity of the Olympic movement, its independence, and preserve the autonomy of sport, and to act against any form of discrimination in the Olympic movement. And those are just some of the areas. And then they go on to support the promotion of women in sport, etc., clean athletes, to do with doping and gambling, etc. So essentially, that's the role of the Olympic movement, and essentially that's what we do in OCM. On a country basis, we mirror what the IOC does on the international scale. So that's just sort of something that I think a lot of people didn't quite understand. How Olympic movement is structured, how IOC was structured, etc. Some people think every country has an IOC member. That's not correct. In Southeast Asia, there's only 4 IOC members, one in Singapore, myself in Malaysia, one in Thailand, and one in the Philippines. None of the other countries have an IOC member. Let's come into what the Minister sort of mentioned today is Malaysia and sports law and what's happening. We have a number of areas which are important. And when you go back to the Olympic Charter, this discrimination and protecting athletes, and, etc. All that we are, as an Olympic Council of Malaysia, we are very, very concerned with and concerned about doping. And you'll hear later, people discussing doping. Doping has become a huge, huge worldwide issue, as has match fixing or spot fixing, and that is the next target of IOC, and trying to get people to stop fixing matches, and they don't actually fix the whole match. I think you all know that because of the betting. No one really looks at trying to bet on the whole game. They're basically betting on little incidences in a game. In cricket, it used to be the wides that were bowled in an over or whatever. The betting that was going on. I was actually surprised that cricket actually did have when the corruption issue came up. I was surprised when they said, cricket there's a lot of match fixers, because I thought no one will wait 5 days and wait for a result of a match and bet on the result and wait 5 days. But as we all know now, it was those little incidences that were going on that people were betting on, and we're talking about billions and billions of dollars. We're not talking about tens of millions. We're talking about billions of dollars that people bet on, and that's another area that is of great concern to us. But whereas the doping is very well regulated, they have a World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA. But the gambling, the match fixing, it's really up to each country's laws to decide whether it's a criminal act. So the international world just hasn't got around to how to control match fixing. International federations, some of them are doing quite well. Cricket is now quite strict because everything is on is videoed. Every incident that they feel there's something funny going on, there would be a panel that looks at the video footage and decides whether there's any potential or possibility of some unfair play or fixing. So that's cricket has done it well, and I think through technology, I think that's one way. I think one can really check, because I think you can see sometimes players, whether it's football or whatever, are not there. I mean, they're not trying, or they do silly passes, or they do silly things, and top athletes don't do silly things. Really, they're very focused. I mean, when I was in cricket, you could have we could have just one stump, and people could throw